Pep Talk UK, Pro Bees once again. Remember, subscribe. And I'm delighted to be joined by the man himself. Needs no introduction. Big D, Mr. Dean Whyte. How are you?
How you doing, brother? I'm good, you know, just chilling.
Good news today. Fans, depending on what tier they are in, are potentially going to be allowed back to fights, live sport.
Yeah, well, that's what the government says at the minute. Obviously, the British Boxing Board have still to decide because they're the guys that dictate everything. But I'm sure they'll go along with what the government has said. You know what I mean? Because the government was the first people that implemented social distancing, no fans, lockdowns and stuff like that. So really, they should go along with their recommendation. And it's great news if it is, because small shows can go back on, small hall shows can go back on, and the guys on the smaller circuits can get busy and start to build their careers, because obviously it's only the guys that are on the likes of Matchroom who have the money to put on great production and great shows, and then the guys that are on Queensberry, Frank Warren, are really out there, So I mean, it's been a year of a lot of heartache and mental stress and depression and many other things, going on. So it's very, very good news, and hopefully I think it will probably be more towards the beginning of 2021 where we'll see the fruits of it, where maybe people will put on shows and do stuff. But yeah, that's it's really good. It's really, really good.
As much as I've liked some of the fights behind closed doors, Top Rank, Matchroom, Queensberry, it just ain't the same, Sweet Caroline by the fans is a lot better, man. I remember catching you one time, man, singing Sweet Caroline at one of the fights, man.
Come on, man, it's big business, man. When you're in there, when you're captivated by the atmosphere, by the fans chanting, and that warm embrace, overflows with you, and you've found a home with many people like yourself who love the sport of boxing. And I'm not gonna lie, it's one of those feelings that can't be matched. The ones. I'm sure football fans feel the same when they're in there singing their heart off in the cold and stuff. And it's great. It's all, everyone feels at one, and they come together. Like when Chisora fighting, Dillion's fighting, AJ's fighting. So I mean, listen, it's great business. If when it does happen, you get what I'm trying to say. So yeah, it's good times ahead, man. We're back. Everything's back to business.
I don't think I got the opportunity to talk to you about Deontay Wilder last week when he mentioned Dillian Whyte's name 3 times. He said Dillian Whyte, Dillian Whyte, Dillian Whyte 3 times, like the Candyman.
Yeah, man, he thought he was going to magically appear, I guess. Listen, Deontay Wilder, he had a great career, and if he just puts all of this behind him and just cracks on and concentrates, I think he'll maybe be able to continue his career, man. But what he's done is he's spoken, I don't know, nonsensical stuff. It's too much stuff. I mean, look, as much as people critique the fighters he has faced, you still have to beat who's in front of you. And he was a man with something like 39 fights, 38 knockouts. He was one of the most fearsome punchers and something, like that, until it obviously came up against Tyson Fury, man. But I mean, all these excuses and things what are going on, it needs to be nipped in the bud, man. I think he needs to concentrate. Like, look, he's calling out Dillian. This is a starting point, I guess. This is the starting point. But I heard Dillian saying something that he needs to play along to his tunes, because like Dillian rightly says, beforehand, when Dillian was asking and calling for the fight, he wasn't responding. He made him wait over 1,000 odd days, and he didn't get his chance. So I mean, it's down to Dillian and his team if they accept that fight. I'm sure if it makes money, it makes business sense, then they'll do it, and it's definitely going to make money. There's no belt on the line, so he's going to be in a position where he's out of the party, because look, Joshua and Fury are going to be, Joshua's got to get past Pulev, and then after that they're going to have 2 rematches, those boys. So that'll put them into 2022 possibly. So he's in the who needs him club. He's out of the party. So calling the likes of Didnt and maybe Andy Ruiz Jr. or something like that is where he wants to be. But yeah, that's good on him, man. Listen, let him come back and stop talking about it. Just say, listen, I lost. It is what it is. If you don't believe me, so be it. I don't give a shit, whatever. You know what I mean? You don't believe what you want. I know what I believe, and crack on. But just get past it, because if you're going to be stuck in no man's land, and you probably just not end up fighting again and losing yourself in an imaginary bubble of fantasy. You get me? A magical, mystical world of Deontay Wilder, the bronze bomber.
Has he expressed any interest in that fight being made?
Well, Dillion's got a fight on his hands, a real fight. He's got a rematch, where he seeks redemption, he seeks revenge. Obviously, it was meant to be this past weekend that had just gone by, but obviously it's been postponed till January. So, listen, he's got to go and take care of business there before he starts talking about anything else. And I'm sure he'd be interested in, like I said, if it makes money and it makes business sense, then him and his team will look at that and probably, you know what I mean. And when you look at it, look, that's another big scalp. It's a big name to go and fight. It's a dangerous opponent, big knockout power. You know what I mean? It will ring bells and it will be exciting for UK fans and American fans to get their teeth and grip behind to say, you know what, we've been looking for this fight. And they'll be like, yo, Dillon, man, you the can man, you talk cold as smoke. Let's see how you gonna hold up to the bronze bomber. And Dillon's gonna be like, let's go! So it's gonna be entertaining for, the fans and many people. So, like I said, one step at a time. He's got to get past Povetkin too, and then looking at it, I would imagine. I'd imagine it would be. I think it would be. I would imagine it being great, and I think people would want to see it. And I think Dillon's in the same position when you look at it, because obviously he won't be able to fight for none of those titles for a while. So he'll be in a position where he's looking at it like, well, who do I face next? Do I sit on the sideline and wait out the whole year or this until I can get the winner of, one of those two for that? You know what I mean? So it makes sense. They could do 2 fights, and that would take them over to like a tournament, a 4-man, two fights takes him over into 2022, and they've secured themselves a shitload of money, takes them into 2022, and then obviously whoever wins out of that one, kind of they swap places, as it would be. Do you know what I mean by that? So the winner of AJ and Fury would fight the winner of this, and then it would go that way. The loser would fight the loser of that, and kind of just trade places. Unless it's one apiece, then it goes again for trilogies. You know what I mean? But I don't know.
The business side though, for that fight, if it did happen, pay-per-view.
Hell yeah.
You're talking some good numbers.
Hell
you're
yeah.
Talking. People will tune in for that fight.
Oh yeah, big money. Alabama power, baby. The bronze bomber. and Dillon, the body snatcher, Whyte. Yeah, come on, man. It's tantalizing, it's exciting. We hopefully by then things would have changed somewhat, and the pandemic, we'd have an understanding which direction it's going in. They're talking about all this vaccine stuff. Possibly that's the case, or if people be tested before they enter arenas, especially if they make testing faster, efficient and more cheaper for people to just do it. I think that's a better plan than talking about vaccinating people and stuff like that. I think it'd be better if people wanted to go out, their right would be for them to pay for a COVID test, just to check if they've got it prior, and going in. If that's what they wanted to do, so be it. But I mean, we're free humans with inalienable rights. And we should be able to, do things as free human beings of our own volition and with choice. So I think, but that makes sense instead of all this crap with vaccination and mandating it and so on and so forth. But, only time will tell. But I mean, listen, it would be great when the days come back where, we're talking about 20, 15,000 capacity, 80,000 capacity is back again. And that's where everyone wants to be, at that kind of level, when you can the echoing, singing, the chanting, Sweet Caroline, and many different ones. There's many other songs, vibrating around the arena, and they're chanting for their fighter. So I mean, I'm looking forward to them times again. I'm
just trying to picture potential press conference. Wow, that would be something, man. You and Andy might be needed, man, to restrain You know, the two fighters, man.
Nah.
Two big lads.
Listen, man, them boys, they got good. Andy's got good security there. I'm sure they'll do a great job. I mean, let's see what happens, man. I don't know, man. If it's over here, Bronze Bomber's not really on no smoke. We've been to America, we've seen him, and he weren't really on nothing as well. He seems like a cool, collective guy, if truth be told, anyway, man. You know what I mean? Obviously, he's got a lot to say, but I think he seems like a cool customer with a wild imagination. But I mean, listen, he still makes for good business. He still makes for dramatic endings in his fights, you know. So I mean, listen, people wanted to see that fight, and I have no doubt they'd want to see it again. You know what I mean?
As Didnt says, if that fight happens, I can't wait, baby. I can't wait. You know.
Let's not hear anything about costumes, heavy suits, tainted drinks, gloves, and all of that, because he seems to allude to many stuff in many fights. He kind of talks about this, you know. So it's a bit weird, but listen, that's up to him. That's his right. But I think he should get back to business and concentrate on what is at hand, building his career, getting himself back on track to try and, you know, fight some of the elite contenders that are out there and that are willing and viable and waiting to, you know, do their stuff.
We got to talk about the big fight this weekend. Daniel Dubois takes on Joe Joyce. Clash of the heavy hitters. Wow, what do you reckon of this fight?
It's a good fight, man. Listen, them boys, they're good boys. I think, like Joe Joyce says, everyone's, you know, overlooking him, and they shouldn't really, because he's got the credentials. I know we're talking about amateur, but actually in the professional rankings, he has got the credentials. You know, he's beaten and he's faced way better, sterner opponent than Daniel Dubois. But yet again, Daniel Dubois is the younger. Some would say hungrier, I'm not too sure. But what I will say, he's got a hell of a jab and he's got a hell of a right. So he's got a very, very world-class jab. And that will take you around the world, man. You know what I'm saying? So for me, you'd really look at, if you look at the resumes, you'd say Joe Joyce has an advantage. But then I still think, you know, it's a 50-50 fight and it could go any way. Joe Joyce, he's heavy-handed, and he puts punches together, you know. He doesn't stop punching, he's fit as a fiddle. And it's going to be interesting to see how Daniel Dubois takes that. Let's see if Joe Joyce puts him on the back foot like he did against Hrgovic. You know, when he fought Hrgovic, big puncher, he just wouldn't stop coming forward, Joe Joyce. Boom, 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 punches, crash, bang, wallop. You know what I mean? So let's see. And then it'll be interesting to see how Daniel Dubois fights on the back foot. You know what I mean? Because normally he's jabbing, he'll come forward and he'll try and punch 7 bells out of people. You know what I mean? Only thing, sometimes Joe Joyce does get hit a lot. I'm hoping they've worked on that. Salas has done something, and they'll, you know, make sure they move their head off the line a bit and make it interesting. I want the fans to get a real treat. I want it to get a few rounds, because I'd like to see how Dubois fares in the later rounds, because, you know, we've seen him out there, you know, getting people out of there in decent rounds. But obviously, I've got no qualms. Look, he's a fit, strong young lad, and I believe he should be able to go the distance. But Joe Joyce goes to the body quite a bit. You know, he's quite a little bit of a body puncher. You know, he doesn't go dig into it, but he goes to the body, he turns them in. They're not like a Didnt Whyte body shot, but I mean, he snatches some bodies and he just puts the punches together. But listen, no one who can virtually win, he wins the silver. In many people's mind, he won the gold at the Olympics, can do all of that and get to that level and not have a boxing IQ and be very talented. You know what I mean? So I wish him all the best. I wish Daniel all the best, and I wish a good fight and may the best man win. You know what I mean? Joe Joyce, it's a different setback for him at his age if he loses, but Daniel Dubois can come again because he's very young. I'm sure those guys wouldn't want to hear that, but you know, when you're looking at it, I think, what is Joe Joyce, 32, 34?
35 now.
Oh, 35, there you have it. So, you know, where does he go? He's got to go back and reassess and evaluate everything, you know. But I mean, he's still in good position. But listen, I expect an explosive fight. and I expect a knockout.
Wow, you expect a knockout?
Yeah, I expect someone to go sleep.
You mentioned the resumes. Now, Sam Jones, the manager of Joe Joyce, is pretty vocal.
Yep.
When they did their face-to-face. Said Dubois hasn't fought anyone of note.
No, well, he's right though. You know what I mean? Listen, Sam's vocal. Sam is doing a very good job with his boys, and you know, he backs them to the hill, and he's very vocal. And there's nothing wrong with that. It seems to be working for him and his boys. And credit to Sam. And listen, what he said is accurate. He hasn't fought anyone of note. When you look at the resume of Joe Joyce, listen, on his debut, he fought Ian Lewison. Like, you know, this just speaks for itself, you know what I mean? He then went on to face Ustinov, he faced Brian Jennings. Listen, the list is Stavern, punched all his dreads all over the place and that. I mean, you know, listen, the Brian Jennings fight, I did say to Sam, we had a little bit of a back and forth with that. And he's like, I said, I felt he lost that fight. And he said, well, I felt Dillian lost the Chisora won. You know, so, you know, Sam's always got his boys back, you know what I mean? Like, so good luck to them. But he's right. Listen to me. That guy, I'm not going to lie, you know, his pedigree of someone who's coming up in his first 10, 11 fights, listen, it's unmatched. It's unrivaled. You know what I mean? He's got a who of who on there, and he's done the net. But obviously, they're not Daniel Dubois, and they don't carry that dynamite power what he's got. You know what I mean? Triple D is the name for a reason. So let's see, man. Like I said, I'm looking for a good fight, and I hope the judges are fair, and you know, and they give the best man and the man who does the damage on the night the result.
All right. Lastly, Richard Lartey, one of the best ring walks that I've seen of recent times.
Listen, my guy, please, just don't talk about Lartey. He's very upsetting, because I actually said, I was watching it with some people, yeah, and I said to them, that ring walk's going to be longer than the fucking fight. And look, imagine how spot on I was. That ring walk was going to be longer than the fight. How true a words. I didn't imagine the magnitude of the words before it even went down. He was dancing for way too long. I don't know what was going on there. That's not the Lartey who fought Daniel Dubois. I don't know what happened. I think maybe he probably didn't go back to Ghana, lost his power, stayed over here eating Morley's chicken and chips, and just didn't turn up. I think he had a six-pack when he fought Daniel Dubois. And no discredit to Fabio. Fabio's the man, and that. But Fabio, crazy win, crazy knockout. But what I looked at is he got caught with a jab. What I did say as well was Fabio was faster. I believe Fabio was faster than Daniel Dubois. So sometimes speed kills as well. So I had a feeling that it might be a different, maybe a different outcome and a quicker outcome because of the speed. But you know, that jab said it all, man. Daniel's got a very, very strong jab, and he didn't do that to Lartey. Lartey was fighting back and came and gave it. So credit to Fabio Wardley. Look, he went out there and he got a devastating knockout. That guy was sucking energy and this and that and oxygen and whatever else he was trying to suck. I don't know what happened, but like I said, for me, I don't know. I would have liked to see more from Lartey. That's it. Maybe I expected too much because of the fight with Daniel Dubois. Yeah. You know what I mean?
All right. Okay. So Dean Whyte, it's been a pleasure, man. We look forward to the weekend.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thanks as always, man. Come on.
Shout out Black Box Management.
No doubt.
Pro Beezy. Pep Talk. We out, ya. Thank you.